What's going on? Charles Botenston here, New York City, obviously. So it's around 6:45 a.m. and we literally, and by we I mean I guess you and I. It's before the gym. My gym's right there, and essentially, I couldn't wait to make this video. It was a very powerful line in a book that I'm reading right now. It's by Jerry Weintraub. So it's essentially his life, and it's called When I Stop Talking. When I Stop Talking, You'll Know I'm Dead. And there's an amazing HBO documentary, and it's called His Way or My Way, one of those. And the reason by the way, I have this on so you can hear me a little bit better. But essentially, in the book, towards the end, and I'm almost done, it's only about 15 pages left, probably one of the most powerful statements I've ever heard. And, listen, there's times that I'll say something over and over, and you're like, oh, okay, Charles keeps on saying observe life. What does that mean? Like, what does he mean by that? And really, it's one of those things that it'll hit you one day, and you'll be like, oh, now I know what I mean. Now I know what he means. And you know what's funny? Ironically enough, in the book, Jerry talks about one of his friends. By the way, Jerry Weintraub. The book, it's entertaining. To be honest, next up is Sam Walton, and then the Hiltons. And by the Hiltons, I don't mean Paris. I mean, like, the people that built the hotels and whatnot. But I'm on a biography kick right now. So a friend of mine gave this to me, and thank you. I think he's watching. I think he watches the YouTube videos. But essentially in the video, Jerry Weintraub. So who was he? Real quick, and then I'll go into what he said. So he represented Elvis and Sinatra. He literally called the Colonel who represented Elvis, the Colonel represented Elvis, who's Elvis's manager, and he called him literally every single day for a year. And he finally, like, his stories are all about just going and persistence and consistency and just fun stories. Like, he just loved life. Watch the HBO documentary. It's one of the best documentaries. That and I Am Not Your Guru by Tony Robbins. So I'll just read it to you real quick, and then I'll get into my thoughts. So this is on page 240, pretty much the end of the book, and he says he had this. He's Jewish. I'm not, but to be honest, I don't really care as long as it's deep and powerful like this. And he had a religious experience, I guess, towards the end of your life. Usually that's when you do, because you start slowing down, you start looking back, what is the meaning of things? When you're going towards it, you're at the bottom or the middle, so you're not really looking down. But when you're at the top of your game, like he was friends with the presidents he was friends with Carter and Bush and Reagan, and then he also and he was in Hollywood, and he also took Elvis and Sinatra and John Denver on tour. He produced Ocean's 11, The Karate Kid. Like, the guy had a ridiculous lifestyle, and some of those stories are in here. He was making like 10, 15, 20, 30 million a year, probably even more. Like, the guy was doing really well. So this is what he said. So you could tell when he says material things, he means private jets. Like, his children only took private jets, and he didn't like it. But that's what he means by material things. So he goes, God had an order, whether you believe in God or not, it doesn't matter. God had an order. It was not superstitious or error. In other words, my heart and lungs are built into me. I could not live without them. And then here you go. This is the powerful part, which is why you need more than material things. You need more than material things. I mean, yes, the material can be nice. I like having it, but it's none of mine. We are all renters on earth, that even our bodies belong to someone else, which is why you hunger even when you have your fill. That's crazy. That's amazing. It's such a powerful statement. Everything you own, even your bodies, are just rented. You can't take anything with you when you die. You can't take anything with you. Your hair or your teeth or your beauty or your smarts or your car or your house or your spouse or your money. You can't take anything with you. Everything is rented. And then he continues and he says, which is why you are hungry, or why you hunger even when you've had your fill. Life will never satisfy it if it's experienced only as the rise and fall of commerce. You need to see yourself as a part of something larger that never dies. Wow. I was literally reading that as I was walking to the gym because I wanted to get the gym in and then actually mail this book to a friend of mine who's doing a favor for me and say, dude, you got to just, read it out. It's not one of the, listen, I wouldn't recommend it as more than just pure entertainment and what you could do. This guy's a kid from the Bronx that rose up and made a healthy lifestyle. But it's interesting because he was in the epitome of show business, limelight and Hollywood and facades and watch what you say, watch what you do. And he was saying the material things and you rent your bodies, that you have to believe that something is bigger. And it may be in your mind, you're like, oh, okay, I already knew that. But like, how deep on a level do you actually feel that? That's really what it is. Because I knew that you couldn't take anything with you. Someone says that, like, oh, you're only renting, you can't. But to even think you only rent your bodies, you only rent all the material things, and then even the third part, which is believe in something larger, not only larger, but something that never dies. That's insane. I haven't gotten to that consciousness yet. But it's definitely one of those that I want to get to where I actually truly understand and believe that. That's really what my life's work outside of making money and helping people and real estate and things like that is finding out how deep I can go into the self-development community. And oh, by the way, side note is I'm still figuring out the domain name. I know a lot of people mentioned the iCharles and how it's about me and everything else. And listen, trust me, I've thought about it a lot deeper, especially if you saw the video Future thing. I'm like, if I want to grow this really large, what is the .com going to say on T-shirts and branding and social media and things like that? But going into this is that just literally when I say observe the world, that's what I mean. Obviously the wind is nice and beautiful right now, but observe the world in the fact that you rent it. Everything around us. I'm renting this seat I'm sitting on, the clothing I have on, these headphones that are using me to communicate audio, the gym I go to, the membership, the money, the friendships I have. I'm just renting it. And to believe in something that never dies. Like I said, I haven't gotten to that level yet. I haven't gotten to that belief yet. And I'm always open to everything. That's why I said, I was born Catholic. I was raised Catholic, and I guess born Catholic as well. But I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the religion or the thinking. Just observe it and say, wow, that is powerful. Never put down someone's ideas without actually questioning them. Why does someone believe that? They believe it because they think it's true. That's one of the most powerful things that I learned in college. One of my teachers said it. He said, always question what people think is true. Either way, when you believe it or you don't believe it, when someone says gravity doesn't exist, you're like, yeah, no, it does, because I'm sitting down, everything's tied to it. But question why they actually think that, because they actually think it's true, good or bad. Especially religion and politics, because that's something that everyone is so entrenched with, and they're so deeply, I am this, and I don't believe that. It's like, what? Well, see the other side. And that's essentially what Jerry was. Jerry Weintraub, he literally was talking about, he's like, yeah, I was friends with Bush, but I was also friends with, Clooney and Damon and, the biggest liberals in Hollywood as opposed to the biggest conservatives in politics. Like, he goes, it's just, you just take the ideas, you take the person, you don't take the identity, unless that person's like really bad as a soul, like they're a robber or murderer or something. But anyway, I thought that was really interesting. I hope that hits you where it hit me, which was renting, and that everything on planet Earth, it just never dies. It goes into Earth, and then it's something else is reborn. Wow, that's crazy. But anyway, have an awesome day. Subscribe to the video and leave it comments below. Yeah. All right. Have an awesome day.